Hey guys, welcome to Tommen Talk with Brie and Crystal. We have Steph and Jenna with us today, and we're doing an updated letter theory because we have new snippets and it's super exciting. So we are going to do a letters recap. So if you haven't watched our original letter videos, we have two up because we spiral so much on this topic. We have an original one that Brie and I did, and then we have Steph and Jenna on another one where we talked about, I guess, all the possibilities of different types of letters. And this one, we're actually going to recap, I guess, on those main theories, and we're just going to add to them and I guess talk a bit more about what the other possibilities are. Because like anything, as we say, all our theories can change at any time, and we got like 75 playlists today, so things have definitely changed. So we are going to talk about that today, but if you haven't watched the other ones, I would recommend watching them just so you get a bit more context as to like the evidence we found here, because we're not going to completely deep dive into all of them again, but we will try to summarize as best we can. So let's get into it. So these are just like the general snippets that are around the letters. There are basically two main letter snippets. You've got the original one, which was the disparity, which is Hugh talking to somebody with blue eyes who we are assuming is Johnny because he had the letter last, and basically it's him identifying that there's a date discrepancy because it is dated the 5th of April, and we know that Kiva didn't die on the 5th of April. She actually died on the 24th. Then today we got this brand new snippet which kind of sparked this conversation, which is Gibbs giving a letter to Hugh to give to Liz, and it's a crumpled up piece of paper. And I think like if you watched our original videos, we talked about how there was 3 mentions of 3 different types of letters in Releasing 10, one being a crumpled up piece of paper, one being a folded up note, and one being the young, or I guess a young family letter that was given as the original suicide letter. So to us, we were like, these are all 3 different kind of situations. We did kind of look more into what was described as crumpled up and what was described as folded, and we kind of put together that the crumpled up piece of paper is like more, I guess, something that's been used a lot, something that's been written down and scrunched up and like folded, and it just kind of proves now that Gibsie has written that. We originally said that Gibsie had written a letter, and Chloe has fed us today with that. So that's, I think, really kind of proves that we're on the right track with like the whole understanding of like Gibbs wanting to write something, wanting to get his, I guess, thoughts out. At the same time, we also know like the letter that was exposed at Winterball did not have the line, "I don't know how to make it right." And I think that's probably the main thing that most, I guess, everyone can agree on, that that was not in the book. We could not find that in the letter. And that's kind of what stemmed this kind of conversation of like, what if there's more letters? What if there's another letter that Gibbs has? Or what if he's written a letter? Because it's just weird to have a line for him to say, hey, like, I don't even need to read it because it's like scored into my conscience. Like, that's weird. And that kind of makes sense because he's now also written a letter as well.
For like the letters that were mentioned, so we have in Taming 7 chapter 12, it is rumored that Kiva did leave a suicide note. This was the one that the young family received. And then in chapter 15 in Taming 7, it now talks about a folded up piece of paper hanging from the edge of his bed, and Claire asks like if this is a love letter. So now we have a folded up piece of paper. So we have one for the young family, then a folded up one. Then in chapter 35, we are now introduced to a crumpled up letter that is under the mattress, and it specifies the crumpled up letter under my mattress and the truth. So that stuck out to us. And then in Taming 7 chapter 37, the young family letter potentially disclosed a rape. So the purple is the young family letter, the pink is the folded up, and the yellow is the crumpled letter. So moving forward, that's kind of where we're going to keep those color schemes, just so it makes it a little bit easier to follow. But these are the letters that are mentioned.
So in chapter 59 of Taming 7, we get Mark and Gibbs and a little confrontation over Gibbs' crumpled letter. This is when Mark is like, is that the illegible scrawl of a Dunn's child? He pulls out the crumpled letter from under his mattress. It also then says that he unfolded the note, and that's when Mark says, is that Kiva's handwriting? He also mentions again that there's only one truth, and then Mark realizes, and he's seeming kind of like nervous, his attention flicks to the letter, and so which one is that? It is both described as crumpled and being unfolded. And then in Releasing 10, when Lizzie is at the funeral, she is passing the note to Gibbs. She describes it as a folded up note, and she places her last shred of hope in her friend's pocket.
This one, we highlighted the crumpled up letter that Gibsie has, where it does have the line, "I don't know how to make it right," that he is like highly focused on. So it has, "I don't know how to make it right with my head bowed and my shoulders rigid with the tension. I stared down at the crumpled up letter in my hands later that evening." So we know that like that's the line that's missing whenever Claire exposes or finds the letter and reads it to everyone at the winter ball. And then we have the snippet from chapter 35 of Lizzie being like, "He didn't even apologize. Mark Allen blanked his girlfriend who was my sister." So we have the discrepancies in their stories then.
Important to also mention here, like the narrative is like, it says like her narrative might be worlds apart from mine, but there was no disputing the sincerity in her tone when she spoke her truth. Like Gibbs is identifying that she is still speaking her factual like information, you know, like he's not discrediting her at all. Like he's like, she has her version of the events and I have my version of the events. And I think that's just an important part to highlight, that like I think moving forward I can expand on a little bit more, but like I think that's just an important part to like understand, that like there is two sides to the story, and Gibbs identifies that.
And I think that last line at the bottom was kind of what was like confusing, because it says the crumpled up letter under my mattress and the truth. And
the truth.
Would you not just say truth in the letter, or this letter?
Yeah, I agree.
Like it was just worded really weird.
It sounds like two things.
And if that is the crumpled up letter that he's written, he's now got a crumpled up letter, but he's also got the truth. Like it's strange.
Yeah,
so then we move on to the folded up note, which is pink. So the folded up note or piece of paper was often described with a follow-up of it being like Kiva's suicide note. So it's mentioned in all these chapters here in Taming 7, but it is, I guess, often folded up. It is often like hidden under the mattress. And it is, I guess, the A4 sheet of paper that was also unfolded and I guess speculated to be a GTA cheat sheet at the Winter Ball. So like it's weird that it was like, I guess, hidden, and then all of a sudden it kind of appeared on his bed when Claire went and grabbed all the, I guess, stuff for the Winter Ball. It was just sitting there, and then obviously it was exposed at Winter Ball. So this is like supposedly the formal suicide letter that Kiva wrote. That was very like scripted. You could read it in Taming 7, but it didn't have the line that we were talking about. So that's the folded up piece of paper. I guess this is a letter that everybody knows, I want to say. Yeah. So these are, I guess, all the like possible letters based on everything we know and what is mentioned in the books. So if we just summarize the Young family letter, there was potentially one that had rumored to have SA. We're going to talk more about that one because like if there was one that was rumored to have SA, obviously like Kiva wouldn't write that under duress with Mark. Like, why would Mark cause her to write that? That kind of doesn't make sense for him to kind of expose his like crime. So if it did have SA, then it would be Lizzie most likely who has rewritten or written letter for Kiva in her point of view. Maybe doesn't remember that she's done it, and that's why she thinks she has read a letter. That's why she says there's only one letter. So like if that was the case, then potentially Lizzie's G's would be the identifying factor, because we know that her G's are something that she was focusing on as she was a kid. Hugh knows that she was practicing her G's. He recognizes her G's. So if he is at some point being able to, I guess, look at both letters and look at the difference in handwriting, he'd probably be able to pick up that is not Kiva's handwriting if that letter obviously is exposed. So that's kind of the Young family letter. I guess we're not really focusing too much on that one because I guess there's two options with that. There was one that had SA and there was one that was rumored to not have SA. So it just depends on, I guess, what narrative we're going down the track there. So then we've got the crumpled up letter and the folded up note. So you've got the crumpled up letter is the yellow. So there's, I guess, two potential possibilities of this. You've got Gibsie having written a letter to Liz, and this is the crumpled up letter or piece of paper that was noted in the new snippet. And this is potentially, again, the letter that has the statement, I don't know how to make it right. The crumpled up letter is described as a piece of paper that had illegible scroll on it as per Mark, and it is potentially something that Gibsie gives Liz in 2006 through Hugh. If that is the case, the question is, what's in the letter? Why is he writing it now? Like, why is he giving it to her in 2006 when it looks like potentially truth's come out? We're now at a different stage. Like, is he just apologizing for the funeral? Is there more things in there? It's just a bit odd. This is a weird, interesting, I guess, letter to have written and like held on for so long. The other option is the crumpled up letter the original letter that Kiva had, and she like wrote as much as she could. It was potentially a legible scroll. It was in her handwriting, and she tried to get as much as she could down. So it may be scattered thoughts. It may be a little bit about Gibbs, a little bit about Liz. It may just be what she could at the time, because if this was like as done under duress or in that like hostage situation, she was A, drugged, and she was B, not like of like cognizant mind and thought. So she potentially may not have gotten everything out, and maybe that's the letter she had written up in her journal, thrust it up into a nice little matchbox size, and then put it into Liz's sock. If that's the case, then where is that letter? I think is the question that we need to ask.
So the folded up note, the suicide note that we see in Winter Ball, this is the one that is exposed by Claire, the one she like put into her purse when she's looking for the tickets. So is this written by Kiva? That's a really great question. I think the snippet that came out today was really important because I think it was supposed to make us kind of steer away from like, okay, maybe Kiva actually did write this letter at Winter Ball. But like to me, like it still seems confusing and a little like my original thought process really hasn't changed much. All the snippet really did for me is let me know that Gibsie is capable of writing. So I'm wondering like, okay, could Kiva write this letter? There's key dates in this. It's very formal. It almost is like APA format, like very long, very structured writing. And it's odd that it was written in a 3-week hostage situation, like Crystal was saying. Like if she's being drugged, like I can't imagine her getting like such a detailed, beautiful written like outline of her thoughts on this paper. It's missing the line, I don't know how to make this right. She even states like take this to the Big's mom or like Gibbs's mom, and then Kiva also says like go with Liz to like the police, which also very odd. Like if you're going together, why is there nothing written about Liz? Like it just seems odd. Like if I was a police officer, I would be like, okay, but like why is she here? Like you know what I mean? Like is she just like helping Gibbs? Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't say anything about Liz, and it just seems very odd to me. It's also dated April 5th, and we know that Kiva didn't die on April 5th. She died later on, and I think there's a lot of issues with the discrepancy of the date. One, she didn't die on that day. Two, like if you're drugged in a 3-week situation, like it's not like you have like access to a calendar, you know what I mean? Like are you like knowing what day it is? Like are you really going to like specifically date it? It like mentions like how like this was her worst day or his worst day. It mentions like weird dialogue of like being the favorite babysitter. Like it switches from a first to third person. Like it's a very odd letter. I just can't picture a girl like in this situation being able to do math back when like 18 months when Gibbs told her what happened. So this letter is odd, but could she have wrote it? Absolutely. I'm not saying she didn't, but it seems weird to me that she would write it. Could Gibbs have potentially rewrote it? And I think a lot of people originally were like, why would you say that? That's villainizing Gibsie. Like, he can't write. And like, we know he can now. And I think if potentially he wrote a letter for Liz, could he have potentially rewrote this letter from Kiva too? And I think we're going to explain more on this on the next slide. So possible outcomes. So I kind of put this in equation form just so we can kind of figure out every possible outcome that we have right now and see what questions that leads us to. So the first one, so if the crumpled letter, the one with, I don't know how to make this right, is written by Gibbs, and the folded letter, winter ball letter, is written by Kiva, what does that leave us with? So where's Lizzie's letter still? If this is the case, where's Lizzie's letter? How did she get her truth out from Kiva? Why is the folded letter so formal sounding? Why did Kiva write a suicide note in the first place? The one for Winter Ball. Why is she writing it? She was never going to commit suicide. Why was it dated incorrectly? And we do have that letter discrepancy playlist, so that's a very big thing. It is incorrect. And how did she have time to write that folded up letter? That's like a lot of the questions that I think of immediately when I think about this whole equation. Is there anything you guys like add to that? Like other questions? Like,
no, I think the consensus is kind of like when you look at it, you're like, when did she write this? So if she witnessed this situation and she's freaking out, is she writing a letter then? And why didn't she just like give it to Gibbs then, if that's the case? So then she's gone home. We know she's gone home. She's driven separately from Mark. Mark has followed her home. And then it's obviously the big blow up, and now they're locked in a room. So it's now under a, duress situation, and then you're trying to get all your thoughts out. You've also just found out that your sister was also a victim. So it's just odd to like not include anything, I guess. Or like, I think the consensus of the fandom is everyone thinks there's something for Liz, but where is it and why do we not have it yet? I think it's hard to bank on something. We have 6 months left in the timeline of this book, like ending in graduation, like dead period of 2006. So it's like we haven't found something for like 5 years. I think it's going to be really hard to like bank on something being found in 6 months. So do we potentially already have something that we're just not looking at properly? I think that's just like my thoughts around like it just doesn't add up. Like it's irking me. Yeah.
Which kind of leads us into like the second equation. So let's say the crumpled up letter that I don't know how to make this right was written by Kiva. Like say that's the true suicide note. And then the folded letter was written by Gibbs, the winter ball letter, the one Claire read. This leads us to the question of, okay, but what is the crumpled letter that Gibbs now wrote in this new snippet? Because he did have a crumpled up letter in a new snippet. So does this add in the possibility of an additional letter? Is that a possibility? Which totally possible. I mean, that's not like unheard of. And to be honest, that kind of makes sense in my head. Like if he wrote a folded up letter, like the winter ball letter, like it's almost like he wrote himself a letter and then he wrote Liz a letter. Like that makes sense to me too. It could also be like maybe he was like rewriting the crumpled letter and that wasn't the folded letter. Like I think there's a lot of questions you can ask with this scenario, but to me, like this does make sense. I could see it this way. And we know Gibbs has the ability to write now, which I think is important. And again, we'll touch on this more later, but I think that's another possibility. Like it's so weird because there's so many options. So going forward, then we have the crumpled up letter written by Gibbs. I don't know how to make this right letter. Folded letter, also written by Gibbs, winter ball letter. So if that's the case, where's the letter that Kiva put in Lizzie's sock? And does it have even anything to do with Liz? Like, where is that letter? Where did that letter go? If he wrote both letters, then like, where's the other letter? So again, adding an additional letter. Then finally, we have the only other option, which would be the crumpled up letter was written by Kiva and the folded letter was written by Kiva. And this, again, what letter did Gibbs write? If that's the case. Why did she write a suicide note in the first place? Like, she still wasn't going to commit suicide. Why is it dated incorrectly? Like, why is it so formal sounding? Like, there's a lot of questions, and I could go on and on and on. I just put the main three, but like, there's so many questions with each of the outcomes. But like, it's really interesting when you look at it this way, because it's almost like, okay, what is the most plausible possibility here? Like, if you're looking at this, what could make the most sense? So in my head, this kind of just like works for me, but I don't know. Do you guys have anything to add?
Like, regardless, it keeps the question open as to where is Liz's letter. Like,
exactly.
We don't know anything about Liz. Why do we not know anything about the main character that was involved in
exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, that's the plot hole in all of this. It's like, where is Liz's letter? And as if your sister would not write something for you. Like,
yeah, 100%. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of people came out and was like, well, she was writing an apology for Gibbs. And that's fantastic. Like, if she needs to apologize to Gibbs, that is totally fine. But like, personally, like, if you are about to die, I think like, the apology honestly is second. Like, I think getting the justice is first. Like, actions speak louder than words. Like, saying sorry is fine. That's fine. Go say sorry. But like, how are you going to prove that you are sorry? And like, I think to prove that you are sorry is to get justice for everybody and not just like him. You know, like that doesn't even give him justice. Like, presenting that letter in like a court situation does nothing for us. I'm gonna be completely honest. You can throw that letter away because we can't even confirm or deny it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we need more. I think this letter doesn't even highlight much of the events, to be honest. I think that the whole point of Kiva writing something and saying, go to the guards or go to the police with Gibbs and explain everything is because she could not get everything on a piece of paper. And I just can't believe a 5 to 15 paragraph letter is written on journal paper, like really like neatly. Like I just can't see it. I still can't get behind that. It's still suspicious to me. And I feel like my thoughts will not change on that. It just feels wrong. I think I would be upset if that was the only letter that Kiva wrote, if I'm being honest.
And her reaction when she finds out, so when Mark and her get back to the house and Mark's like, what did you tell her? And her reaction is, what did you do to Liz? Like, not my sister Liz, is emotional. So to think that she would then be scribbling something down in such a coherent manner, but not even say Liz or mention her, it's not a possibility in my mind. Like, she had to have said something.
If there is a potential another letter that Kiva wrote for Liz, like that which totally could be a thing that she like hid in her room, but why wouldn't she just be like, Liz, under the dresser? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't she just be like, I put it there, like, take that one too. Here, put both in your sock. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it that she could so easily be like, okay, take this one and like show her it, place it, but like not do it with the other one? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why is the other one so secret? We have to hide it somewhere in like Kiva's bedroom. But like, we can just give her, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense.
But we can give this really nicely written Gibbs one.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't add up.
But we also know Lizzie says in that scene she quickly scribbled something down on a piece of paper. So then finding what you said, like 5 to 15 paragraph neatly written letter does not make sense with what Lizzie was alluding to she wrote, like while she was with her. Like quickly scribbling down is not 15 paragraphs neatly signed and dated.
Okay, so then the other thing that the snippet brought to our questions was, is it referencing the content of the letter or potential to be related to his dyslexia? So the snippet says, you wrote a letter for her, for my Liz. And then Gibbs goes, I don't know if she'll be able to make sense of it, the words, what I was trying to write, but that's it. So when he says, I don't know if she'll be able to make sense of it, the words, we are thinking, okay, at first it seems like Gibbs is saying Liz might not be able to understand the words written on the page. They might be sloppily written. That's where your first thought goes. But then when you reread it, we're thinking that there's got to be more to it. So what if it's not about what he actually wrote on the paper, but what if he's worried about how the message he's trying to give Liz is actually going to be understood or perceived? So maybe the words written are completely fine, because if we're assuming he wrote it in 2006, possibly, by then he's in his last year of school, he's going to graduate. It doesn't make sense that it would still be like scribble scrabble from like when he was a child. So maybe it's that he's worried Liz won't understand the deeper meaning, the emotions, whatever he's trying to get across to her. He is worried that he might not have made that super clear. So then what could he be saying? She won't get it because I can't spell, or I can't write legibly. But what we really think is that she won't get it because he's trying to say something complicated. Maybe it's that Liz doesn't even understand entirely her trauma and her truth, because we know she's always kind of struggled with her being told it's nightmares, it's not real. And then it led us to our kind of final conclusion that there's 2 ways to interpret this list. He's worried the letter's confusing because this is dyslexia. I think at face value, that's your initial interpretation. That's how Chloe kind of wants you to look at it. But there's always kind of like a deeper meaning to the way she phrases snippets and how she gives you certain portions of the scene. And the second, the way I'm leaning, is that he's worried the letter is confusing because of the emotions, the situation behind it. And I think that adds a deeper layer to the moment and shows how vulnerable Gibbs is trying to be and trying to relay possibly this like deeper connection and understanding that he has for what Liz has gone through.
I also think to add to this, like he does write a note for Claire that's very quick, and it just says like he had to leave in the morning the night after, like she stays over. And he had no issue thinking that Claire wasn't going to be able to comprehend what he said in that note. You know what I mean? Like he is capable of writing. And I think when we first came out with our theory, people were like telling us that we were wrong because Gibbs has dyslexia and he isn't able to write. And I have comments to back that up. Like that's not me just making things up. Like people have truly told me that like he can't write because he's dyslexic, and that's not the case. Like being dyslexic doesn't make you illiterate. It makes it more challenging for sure. But we also have to remember that he's not like a baby anymore. Like he is literally like a senior in high school equivalent, and he has to graduate the same way everyone else has to graduate. He doesn't get easier material just because he has a learning disability. He still has to finish the curriculum. You know what I mean? He gets extra help. He might have like people to help him along the way, but he still has to be able to comprehend and do the work everyone else has to do. That's why there's different levels of classing in high schools. Like there might be a more easy beginner class, an intermediate, or a more advanced that we see like Johnny in, or that we see Hugh in. So he's probably a lower or standard class, but he still has to get that work done. So he still is a literate person. Dyslexia does not make you dumb. It doesn't make you stupid. And I think that's a really important part to add to this, because when you were saying he's dyslexic, he can't write, you were stereotyping him. Gibbs is not a dumb person. He's one of the most perceptive people in this entire book. He identifies that Hugh was pining after multiple girls. He's the first one to recognize that Aoife is pregnant. He knows when Joey's on drugs before anyone else does. He is very perceptive. He's not stupid. And I think just because he has challenges with writing and reading does not mean he is not able to do so. He does read. We see him read the letter. He does does write. We have the snippet saying he wrote something. So I think there's a deeper meaning behind this. And I like at face value, like I even took it as like, okay, this is talking about his dyslexia. But then I was really looking at it and I'm like, what if it's not about his dyslexia? What if it's about the context? Like, I don't know if she'll be able to make sense of it. He never even said anything about you, and he's handing it to you. Like, she might not make sense of this letter because she doesn't know. Like, she doesn't even know her own trauma. It might be confusing. The context, the message, the truth might confuse her to the point where she can't even comprehend or make sense of what he's trying to explain. So, like, I think, and I truly will die on this hill, to be honest, because I don't think Chloe is so, like, black and white. I think she likes to add layers. I think she likes to add dynamic. And I think she wants you to, like, take it at face value, but then give you something else for that plot twist.
Yeah. And I guess even if you look at that where he's like, I don't know if, like, she'll make sense of it. Like, he says to Johnny when he first meets Johnny, oh, I goes to give him his copybook and he's like stressed that Johnny's going to be like, I can't read your handwriting. Johnny says nothing. Johnny can read, no problem. And he's like, oh, wait, he can read my handwriting. Oh, that's crazy.
Exactly. Which kind of adds back to like our old video that we just did, like the version 2 of the letter, where we were talking about how like, could that be like a personal bias that like Gibbs has for himself? Like, you know, like when you like are looking in the mirror, you might like pick out little things in yourself that you notice, but like the outside eye doesn't. His is probably his dyslexia. He's probably a little bit like sensitive to the way things look, and he thinks it looks a certain way, and it might just look fine. It might just be fine. Like, he might just personally take it as one of his flaws because his whole life he's been like told he has this problem, you know what I mean? But like, does that mean it actually is what it is? And I think that's why we do these deep dives, because you have to do that. Like, you have to like think about it. You have to like critically think in order to come up with these thoughts, because if you don't, I sound crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you have to actually like think about possible scenarios. I'm sorry, but like, this is very important. I think the snippet like just literally like it keyed into me that Gibbs can write. Like, Chloe basically just confirmed she can write to me.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, there's more to these letters regardless, because none of them are adding up. Even if Gibbs wrote a letter to Liz to apologize, what's he apologizing for? The funeral? Like, what's the content in there that she wouldn't make sense?
I was gonna say that too. Because him, like, if we take the theory that Gibsie wrote the crumpled up letter that has the line, I don't know how to make it right, and then you take this line from the playlist snippet saying, I don't know if she'll be able to make sense of it, going off of what you said. Like, he does not owe Lizzie an apology. Like, he's not done anything, but he could be trying to apologize to her to try and, like, make amends, to make things right, to try and get both of their truths to make sense, put the big picture together. If that makes sense. Like, he might be trying to be the bigger person in the situation, maybe.
And I feel like if he was just apologizing for the funeral, like, couldn't you just say that? Like, if that's it, like,
Why would
sorry, I didn't. Like, why are we like writing something so secretive? And like, this is also just a snippet of the conversation. We don't know what they were talking about prior. Like, what were they talking? Because they're talking about letters. So like, what were they even talking about? You know what I mean? There's more to this. There's a whole chapter, and then we get this, and there's probably more to the chapter. Yeah. Like, there's so much to this. This is just a little piece, and like, there's so much context that backs it up. So like, they're talking about letters. Like, this is just so important. Like, so important. And I feel like there's so many ways to look at it, and I feel like a lot of people are just going to take it at face value.
And at the end of the day, Chloe didn't have to use the words crumpled piece of paper. She could have just said, pulled out the note from my jeans, pulled out piece of paper. She didn't even have to say crumpled. She could have just said piece of paper. Yet she chooses crumpled once again. And everything Chloe does is intentional. Some people don't believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. That she does is intentional, and I trust her with my life, clearly. So there's more going on here than meets the eye, that's for sure. Yeah.
And to be honest, it kind of just proves that Gibbs knows something, which is what we've been saying.
He knows something.
He knows something.
And I think knowing, like whether obviously we wouldn't know a lot, but if he knew something, he has an inkling. We know we have the scream. He's 18. He says, I know those screams. I hear them in my nightmares. He recognizes that that's like obviously a triggering response for her and for him. Is that his aha moment? And then this letter is now obviously out. So this letter was the crumpled letter was first seen in September 2005. So I guess that's the other thing, like, when was it written? Because technically the crumpled letter was seen in September 2005. So if it was written in 2006, it's a completely different letter. But if it's something he's holding on to for a while, he's been trying to write, trying to make it right, trying to perfect it, crumpling up, folding it. He's had that since 2005, September. We've seen him holding it. But has he had it prior to that? Like, what an odd time to bring it out, you know?
Yeah. It has the line, it has to have been written in September 2005. So it was written before the balls, before Halloween. So what did he know before he heard the screams, before he saw her reaction to everything at the ball? What was he remorseful for? What was he apologizing for, trying to like get off his conscience and like get to Liz if he didn't know anything? And if it was just for like how I responded at the funeral. I didn't tell him about Mark.
Sorry, couldn't read the letter.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's just like, it doesn't make sense to write a letter about that, to be honest. Like, you could just say that in like one sentence, you could scream it at her.
Yeah. To be like, sorry, I couldn't read it at the time. Like,
camping, like, he's like, I can't effing read the instructions. And she's like, it's a photo. It's not even freaking words. And that's the whole argument there. Like, she knows he can't read. Like, I feel like he already got that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah. So it's weird. There's got to be something else.
Yeah, there's more. There's more to it.
But I guess at the end of the day, theories change. We say this every day. This will probably change by the time we finish recording and uploading this, because I need to edit it. But I think at the end of the day, we don't know. Like nobody's gonna know until we get the book. We're not saying we're right. We're saying these are all the options that we have. Take it as you please. We love to hear your thoughts, but I guess providing regular updates is what we try to do best because we got new evidence today and we thought, hey, let's look at it at a different and see what we can find out. So I guess if we just summarize what we've got so far, we had the original theory, which we said there were 3 letters, which is the crumpled up letter, the folded letter, and the young family letter. Okay, we originally thought that Gibsie had written one of these letters, and did he write potentially that letter that Kiva supposedly wrote and was exposed at Winterval? What we know from today is Gibbs can write a letter. He did write a letter to Liz at some point, and he is obviously giving that to her most likely in that 2006 period. So this just kind of proves, like we said, that he is able to write. He is able to write things down. He can write a letter. So if he were to write other letters, there's still potential for that to be an option when we look at our letter possibilities.
It's like, when did Gibbs write this letter? Was it before Winterball? If it is the I don't know how to make this right letter, like obviously that has to be written prior to September 2005 because that's the first time we see it. It's completed. It's already crumpled, so it seems pretty old. Could it be after Winterball? If that's the case, this is probably not that letter because that letter was already written. You know what I mean? So if it is a new letter, that sentence probably is not in it because it's not the same letter. So it kind of depends. The timing definitely plays a role in what letter this potentially could be. I'm thinking if he wrote it after Winterball, then it probably isn't his letter, the one that he was reading in Taming 7. What were his intentions during writing this process? Like, we deep dove why Gibbs potentially could even write letters in the first place. Like, we talked about the therapy component. We thought about like potentially going to the guards. Maybe it was just a healing thing for him to get his own trauma out. We talked a lot about that in the last video, which I'm not going to get too much in depth, but like his intentions matter. I don't think writing a letter in any form causes him to be a villain. I think it's, to be honest, him showing his true friendship and showing his loyalty. And then could this lead him to have potentially wrote the other letters like Crystal said? Potentially. I mean, we know he can write now, so like, could he have written a different letter? Could he have written the Winterball letter? That's still a possibility. That was not debunked. I want to make sure that's clear. Like, it wasn't debunked that he did not write it. It was just shown that he wrote something. Like, what does this letter tell us really about Gibsie? Like, he's feeling remorseful. He's feeling some type of regret. He's vulnerable. He is hiding something. We don't know what, but he has something he needs to get off his chest. Something he really can't say out loud. It's that deep. So does he know something about Liz? And what does he know about Liz? What is that inkling he has? Because if it is the I don't know how to make this right letter, remember that's September 2005. It's already crumpled up. He seared it into his conscience. It seems like it's been written for a while. So prior to September 2005, what does he know? That's the question. If it's not that letter and it is the one after Winterball, it's a whole new letter. I have a question on who wrote that other letter then. Where is that letter?
Still missing.
It's still missing. It's still missing. And then also, like, could this have been like him talking about the Scream and the Winterball stuff and maybe identifying more things? Potentially, totally possible. But timing is everything. This is why the timeline matters. This is why we do the calendars. This is why we do the timeline and the whole tandem read that Jenna created. Like, this is why we do it, because that's the important parts. That's the things you don't pick up. And then big picture questions where basically, how many letters are involved? That's a really good question because I can't give you that answer. All we know for sure is there's 3 right now. Potentially a 4th with this new snippet.
Getting wild. It's getting too many.
It's getting wild. We got a lot of stuff going on now.
We also have a potential journal that was burnt and a notebook that is somehow
that is missing.
Yeah, it's a lot of piece of paper, a lot of trees.
Single-handedly, like, I don't know. But anyway, which letters were definitely written by Gibsie? Which ones were written by Kiva? I think that's an important thing to know. Why does the folded letter still sound so formal? Why does it sound off? Why doesn't it mention Liz? Like, very big questions. Like, still, this Winterball letter will eat at our souls, I swear, because, like, I'm sorry, Declaration of Independence does not equal suicide letter to me. It doesn't make sense. And then, is this new snippet of this crumpled letter, is it really the crumpled letter that Gibbs had, which I kind of already talked about, or is it a new letter entirely? Where is Lizzie's letter?
I don't get any answers because we're still like, where is Lizzie's letter? Where is Lizzie's evidence?
I'm sorry, like, she has.
How does it come out?
How does it come out? Does it come out for her? How does she also, like?
Because ultimately it is her book. This one is hers. Yeah. So how does her truth, her justice?
She doesn't know what happened to her. She doesn't even know about like the like abortion hangers. She doesn't know that was what it actually was. The only person that knows that is Mark and Kiva. Like, no, but seriously, the only 2 people I know is Mark and Kiva. So why would Kiva have learned all this information? Like, why tell her? Like, it could have been simple. Mark didn't have to out all of this stuff. It could have been very easy and just been like, yep, raped her.
Yeah, like literally the line, like, she's a baby and you put a baby inside her. Like, that line is coming back out. I can just feel it.
It's coming back out. Like, that is somewhere.
It's ingrained in my conscience.
Like, there's just so many specifics that I'm like, why did Kiva have to learn all this information before she died? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, he could have easily been like, she could have been like, did he force you? She could have been like, yes, and that could have been the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't need any more context. But like, we got it. We got the context. She explains that she knows what happens to Lizzie. It's in the flashback memories. So like, odd. It's just too odd. She has something for Liz. I know it.
I feel like for me, it's kind of like, again, timeline. We've got 6 months. Like, how are we finding something in 6 months when we haven't found anything in like 6 years? Like, it's
hard to introduce something brand new.
I just don't.
At this point.
Yeah.
like something that's never been mentioned, never been addressed.
Someone going into Kiva's room and finding this amazing journal or notebook that she's
Like a treasure trove of just evidence,
Oh my God,
all compiled in Kiva's room.
It's like a big sign that says evidence with like an arrow pointing down, flashing, and like, you missed me this whole time because no one came in my bedroom. Like, come on, like, no.
That's kind of too easy. That's too easy.
Yeah.
multiple forms of evidence. Yes, we know there's photos out there. Yes, obviously Gibbs has this letter. We need multiple forms of evidence. Otherwise, like, they're not going to have enough to take.
They don't have a case. They don't have a case.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like one word over the other, and I know that sounds horrible, but like, that's reality. I was just reading a bunch of other books that involve like sexual assaults, and like, literally there was no evidence at all. They said you should have got a rape kit. That's what they said. Should have got a rape kit. So like, if we don't
And
have
that's in the last video we talked about statistics, didn't we?
Yeah.
talked
So like 15% of SA cases go to court. 15%.
Yeah. Only 15, because there's not enough context and evidence. Like, we need actual proof that it happened, because it's like taking the, and it sucks. Like, yes, we should believe them, absolutely. But there is people in the world that make things up. There is, and that would suck too. So like, we have to have concrete evidence in order to like form an actual case against Mark. So there has to be photos, there has to be letters, there has to be some other form of evidence. I'd like to think there's still
It has to be something tangible
evidence
and undisputable.
Exactly, I agree with that. So there's still,
because we know
more-
Lizzie's been made out not be right. Like, Lizzie's been made out to be this person that makes things up, just yells things out that aren't true. So we have to find a way for Lizzie's words to be proven true. Like, that's the only way she's going to get justice.
And unfortunately, I feel like someone else is going to have to be the one to tell it, people. You know, like, they're not going to believe Lizzie. They have written her off. They have said, you have bipolar disorder, you're crazy, we're not trusting a word out of your freaking mouth. So like, someone else who is sane has to tell them what happened. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way for them to believe it, other than like physically seeing it themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's almost, and like, also Lizzie just doesn't know. Like, she doesn't know this is true. It's like, she is in this delusion that everyone in the series has put on her, that she's making it all up. It's a figment of her imagination. So how do you get from this is a figment of my imagination and being brainwashed into thinking that, to being like, no, this actually happened to me? Like, the whole time, even she was saying like, my nightmares aren't real. I'm safe in the real world. So something is missing. We're missing something.
Missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just feel like, even like from a Gibbs and Liz perspective, like, there's a, like, why would they make a promise when they were kids about Mark, say let's take it to the grave, they won't tell anyone, she hasn't told Hugh, he hasn't told Claire, it's like their initial Viper and Thor, friends forever, Thelma and Louise promise. Like, he already had an inkling there. Like, he had an inkling there.
Well, that's also with a, maybe she can't make sense of it. I was wondering, like,
because she doesn't,
okay,
she denies it.
She doesn't know, and maybe he's trying to not out her truth yet because she doesn't understand. So he's trying to get her the message in a way that doesn't out that he knows, because she might not be ready to, like, I know we had talked about this before, but he doesn't seem like the type of person to ever want to be, he's always telling Johnny not to like bulldoze Shannon, not to like go hard on other people's trauma and allow them the opportunity to come out with it on their own. So this could be his way of trying to be like, I know these things. Maybe like,
yeah, and we know like that's what happened to him. Like, he tries to keep everyone else from outing everyone else's trauma, but his own trauma was outed against, not against him, but like, he didn't get that option. It was outed for him. So he's not going to turn around and then do the same thing to Liz that happened to him that he didn't want to happen. Like, that's the reason him and Claire stopped being friends there for like a week or two, and it took them a little bit to come back around and get back together, because he was so upset that she did that.
I don't mean to interrupt, because I totally agree with that, but there is new playlists. I'm sorry.
I was just sitting here thinking that like as a joke. I was like, what if they're just like uploading us?
There's 8 more.
Okay. So we just wanted to add in, as normal, we constantly find things when we're doing deep dives, and we just wanted to add in, I guess, context of like Winter Ball, the morning of Winter Ball, because we do feel like it was very, I guess, random, or was it coincidental that so the letter was initially mentioned September 2005. We have Winter Ball December 2005, and that is when it comes out. So it was very like coincidental that it was like hidden under his mattress for so long and folded up, and he was constantly trying to hide it, and then all of a sudden it was like found by Claire with the tickets.
I was like, well, it's like said it like fell to the floor, like from his bed to the floor. Like, he picked everything up off the floor.
Says the tickets are on the nightstand. She goes over and picks up everything because it all fell on the floor, and it was there. Like, so it wasn't hidden at that time. So it was really like, we thought that was really strange. And when you go look back at the chapter, like early chapters, but prior to actually going to the Winter Ball, Gibbs literally says like, it wasn't until the morning of the Winter Ball that I finally came to the conclusion that I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't carry this weight another day. It was too much. It was too crippling. So kind of
like, he literally is like, I can't do this another day.
Like, he wants it out. Like, he doesn't
wants
it out. Which we find like so interesting, given that the letter did come out that night. Like,
and then it's like he's like having this like internal thought process because Claire is still sleeping, and he's like he literally says, could I truly get the words out again, knowing that the one and only time I've spoken them before, they've fallen on deaf ears, which makes it seem like it's like Kiva like not like listening and believing him. And then he even says like, I wasn't believed then, so what was to say that Claire would believe me now? Yes, she loved me, I knew that was true, but love didn't have anything to do with someone's ability to believe in monsters. I feel like that's so important. Like, and then he's like having this internal struggle, and he's like looking at his tux, he's looking at Claire, like back and forth, like looking at him, his like Winter Ball attire, looking at Claire, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna tell her about D when she wakes up, right? And like his internal monologue is like, no, tell her about Mark. And then he's like, brings up D, and then she freaks out, and he's like, I don't need action, I need you just to know. And I think that, like, I think he wanted to tell her, like, he truly wanted her to know about everything. But then, like, her reaction to D, he's like,
don't know what to do. Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do. And, like, I don't think he'll be able to get the words out, like, of his mouth. Like, I don't think he'd be able to say it to her. Like, I think that's why it has to be written.
It has to be written in a letter.
It has to be written. So, like, she can read it. She can comprehend it on however she wants to. But, like, the conversation
barely talk about D here. He's like,
barely talk about D.
And then he's like, she's like, what's got into you? Like, you got your tongue tied, Gerard Gibson. And then he's like, in his head, he's like, just fucking say it. Like, be a man and tell her, damn it. Like,
yeah,
that's about D. That's about.
And he's like being very like specific. Like, I don't want to discuss this and go in depth. I just want her to know about. He can't get it out. He can't get it out of his mouth.
Yeah,
it's odd. Like, and especially like
it's so hard to say. Like, I would. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
How would you even say that? Like,
how do you say that?
Like,
I would not be able to say that.
There's like great ways of being able to say what you want to say without having to say it. Like,
exactly.
Not like for your own.
And it's literally the morning of that day. The morning of. Like, he wakes up and he's like, I have this crippling like secret, and I need it to be shared. I need it out. He needs his truth out. And it literally says opening up and shutting down. Like, that's the name of the chapter.
Yep.
It's too much. That's important.
Yeah. So did he like subconsciously put it out, accidentally put it out intentionally? Like, it's just a bit odd that we have this like the monologue for the morning, and then later that night it's just found, not hidden, and Claire finds it. And also, like, did he like forget the tickets? Like, it's really strange. He's like, the tickets are on my nightstand, and Johnny's like,
he knows exactly where they are. He knows exactly where the tickets are. He's like, oh, I don't have them on me.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. I've always wondered, like, why of all days this day? Like, it's just.
Me too. It's been like.
I don't believe in coincidences when it comes to.
I don't either. I'm
so
sorry, I don't.
Going on here, that's for sure.
I think it's important.
Moving
forward, we have more.
Moving forward, the other thing we wanted to note, and this is wild, is that if you have a UK version, your letter is bolded in specific parts of the letter. If you have a US version, it's just all italicized. Reason being, we don't know, but it doesn't make sense. So these are the Kindle versions, but I did check our book. So I have both books, and I will show you that I have both of them. So our US version is all italicized, and there are no bolded words at all in the letter, whereas this UK version is all italicized, but bolded words. So bolded is the saw. So where Kiva said, but I saw tonight, just that one word, really random.
Saw.
That's it. Saw. Bold.
Interesting.
Really random. And then
the whole letter. The
only word is saw. So that can't even just be like a printing mistake. Like, that's how is it a printing as well on Kindle? Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And then as you're continuing to read this letter, you're like, okay, is anything else bold? And the only other part that is bold is what's in parentheses, I want to point out. And it's like her statement.
The statement. Like, that would
like
be
the actual
evidence.
Evidence part is the bold.
Yep.
So, like, why is this whole letter italicized with two little sections, the statement and saw, in bold? Only in the UK version.
That's so weird.
Could it be possible that the bolded stuff in this letter is from a potential real letter?
Like, is that the statement?
Is that the statement that Kiva wrote?
Yeah.
And everything else is more so
writing to himself, Gibsie, I guess Gerard, writing to himself, getting out the information, hence why it's like really, it's worded weird. Like, for instance, the last part, for my pardon your pain, for my silence, I can never say sorry enough. I can only hope that my absence gives you some comfort, because while I know I wasn't your abuser, my lack of willingness to believe your truth hurt you in ways he never could. How does she know that?
Also, how does she, like her absence, like, she wasn't going to commit.
Yeah. And also, if we look at Morning of Winter Ball, he says it fell on deaf ears. Like, he's saying that, like, the last time
he's basically saying that.
He's literally saying this in a different way. Like, it fell on deaf ears.
How does she know this? Like, my lack of willingness to believe your truth hurt you in ways he could never could. Like, yes, I understand she saw it, right? But, like, she doesn't know, like, what it would be like to be silenced. You know what I mean? Because she wasn't. So, like, how would she...
with him?
Like, she could show, like, empathy.
She could, yeah. I feel like she, first of all, has she had a conversation with Gibbs to actually understand? Probably not. If she just saw it and it was just, you know, what happened, and then a rush, and then whatever happened, the fallout. So how would she know exactly how he's feeling? Like, because this is all an assumption based on what she saw one night and what was told 18 months ago.
Yeah. It's also interesting too, because I always think of like, what does Gibsie need from Kiva, like, to like move forward, honestly? And he needs like some type of like understanding and apology. Like, he would need that from her, I feel like. And like, if he didn't receive it from her, who's to say he didn't write that himself? Like, maybe he's giving himself a form of like something he needs, you know?
I find it interesting as well that you say that, because at the beginning it says, I have no way of making this better for you or redeeming myself in essence, because the bottom line comes down to the fact that I was supposed to protect you and didn't. Like, it's so, like, it's so weird. Like,
it's just so cryptic. It's so cryptic. And then like this letter bounces from like third person to first person a lot too, which I find very odd.
And I find it interesting because when he's reading the crumpled up letter, or the letter, he says, it doesn't matter how many times I read it, it doesn't make me feel any better.
Yeah.
And this is saying, I have no way of making this better for you. Like, it's just like, it's
like reiterating like how he's feeling.
Yeah.
just like in a different phrasing, like a more formal phrasing. And like, why is these two parts bolded? And the saw, I realized like the whole letter is italicized, but saw is not.
Yeah.
Saw is bolded, but not italicized. The bolded statement is italicized, but the saw is not. So like, it's just like, what does that mean?
And obviously, like we like looked up why would it be different in the UK versus the US? And basically, it says it's up to the author what words are bolded, but sometimes the publisher might decide based on like their style, like if it is kept to, which I think makes sense if it was an error. I want to say because like the font in this is so small and specific, like the titles are different. Whereas the UK version, I'll tell you, it's literally just it's the one straightforward font. Like it doesn't,
And it's also like. It's not that the US wouldn't bold specific words too, because if you go to R10, like in the disclaimers, the same bolded words for the disclaimers in the UK are the same bolded words for like the US version. So it's not like they they still would bold words in the US. It's not like bolding is not a thing in the US. Like they definitely would still do it because it's given in the disclaimer of R10. I'm still scrolling through the entire book of like Taming 7 because I need to figure out like this whole thing. But like we have to figure out these, like you're gonna have to help me because you have the UK versions, but like we have to figure out like if there's any other bolded word. But like then you look up like what does like a bold word even mean, especially when it's in use of italics, and it's like it's used to like emphasize key ideas, it's used to like draw the reader's attention, it's used to like highlight important information, it's used to make something stand out. So why are we making that part specifically stand out? Like wouldn't we make the whole letter stand out? Like if this is Kiva's like letter, the whole thing's important, right? Like this is her apology to Gibsie.
Evidence. Yeah.
So why are we only giving two things, like the one paragraph and the saw? Why are we only bolding those? Why are those the most important?
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's intentional. I don't know. It's intentional. It means something.
But like Kiva's writing down and bolding her letters.
Yeah, right. Like she's like scribbling really deeply. Like I just the Winter Fall letter, and I know people disagree with the theory that Gibsie potentially rewrote it, and I get that. It seems odd. It seems weird, and I totally understand that. Like it feels icky, and I get that. But like, think of the actual letter. Like think of the letter. Think of the situation Kiva's in. Like imagine yourself in a hostage situation, drugged. Like this is your final moment. You know you are about to die, and you're like. Writing this formal APA style, like literally like it's like a legal binding contract. It feels like it feels so like professional. Like it doesn't sound like a 17-year-old girl just decided to like get justice for people. Like it doesn't sound like that. Like it seems like
it should be like choppy. It should be
like, yeah, like I feel like it's like been worked on. Like it looks like it took thought, to be honest, like to get your words like perfectly aligned, make sure you like laid out everything like on how you're feeling and how he might be feeling. Like if she had time, like if she had like time to like perfect it, sure, she could have wrote it out of an apology. But like she didn't. Like Lizzie watches her, she's just like scribbling like quickly, and then like gives her like folds it up as tiny as she can and gives it to her. Like this is long. Like it's a long statement. But that statement right there, the like the little paragraph, is not very long in the essential of the letter. Like in the essence of the entire thing, it's just like a little thing. So who's to say that isn't in Kiva's letter, a real letter, and who's to say she doesn't have the same type of statement for Lizzie?
Yeah. The other thing is, like, we said this in our other video, but like this is all italicized, and you can't, like, let's say if we think about it, the other letters, Joey's letter, right, was in scriptive, like cursive font. You can't bold that because it's like scriptive. So why is this italicized and bolded in normal text? Like it's not.
It's also interesting because we said it in the other video too, but like the letter or the note that he writes Claire when he like leaves in the morning to go to like training with Johnny or whatever, it's also italicized, and italicized words are usually more so internal monologue. Like in all the books, like it's like when it's italicized, it's either like very important or it's like the person thinking something, like tell him, and then it'll be like in italicized, and then the rest of the sentence won't be. So like whatever they're thinking is normally italicized. So like Joey's letter, for instance, to Aoife being like in the script font is very important because it's like this is what he wrote. This isn't in his internal monologue.
It's like emotional, raw. It's giving the emotion of that situation.
Yeah, and it's like if she's done it before in the past for specific letters, I think she might have done it for Johnny's letters. I don't remember.
Oh, I can't remember, but yeah, I think so.
I can't remember. I'd have to look back.
There were other letters though in Joey's where there was, definitely.
Yeah, like, but if there is like script, like if she's done that previous, like why wouldn't you do that
all the time
going forward?
It's just
I feel like there's just like a lot of like weird inconsistencies, like if they are like kind of like the same like thing, you know what I mean? Like if they're both letters.
There's just too many unanswered questions with this letter that there's got to be something else going on. Like, and we could completely be wrong, and that's completely fine.
No, that's totally fine. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know what I mean? But like the letter, I feel like even before we formed this theory, this letter just felt odd to everyone.
Never made sense.
Like I was on TikTok and everyone else agreed. Like before we came up with this theory, no one was arguing that the letter sounded odd. Like it sounded odd. Like it's a weird letter.
It doesn't make sense. I think
it doesn't make sense.
Where's Liz's letter? Why is it not here?
Like why doesn't Lizzie have something? And I'm not saying we have to take away from Gibsie's trauma. I don't want to do that. I think he deserves just the same amount of justice that Lizzie does. But like in that sense, like if we got Lizzie nothing, then why is Gibsie's trauma more important than Lizzie's? Like I feel like we shouldn't be like measuring out trauma, like they both deserve justice. And I think Lizzie's sister would know that. And like I don't know, like as an older sister, like I feel like it'd be I know this sounds bad, but I feel like it'd be kind of more important for me to get my sisters out before her friend. I know that sounds shitty, but like that's my flesh and blood. Like that's literally my blood. Like that person's going to be like the most important person in my life. Like don't get me wrong, I'd still want to get the justice for whoever I silenced. 100%.
One letter.
Exactly. Like, but I would want to make sure I also had justice for my sister, especially if everyone I knew thought she was crazy and wasn't gonna believe her.
Yeah.
Especially when I didn't believe her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought her nightmares were figments of her imagination. Like, so it's like, if I didn't believe her, and I know the whole world hasn't believed her, I probably would want to get something out on paper for her. Because they'll believe me, you know? Like, I'm the older sibling. So it doesn't make sense to me. Like, this whole thing just sounds off. It's just off.
It's just not adding up at the end of the day.
No, it's not.
There's so much more to these letters than anyone can, I guess, pick. And the thing is, Chloe's not going to tell us. Like, she's not going to give us the answer about Mark, the answer about the letter, or the scary lady in a snippet. She's not going to spoil her book. So she's giving us little bits to start thinking about what else could be happening, what are the other potential situations, and then you can only go off like those and like figure out based on what we know.
I feel like what her letter snippet like really gave us is the fact that we do know Gibsie can write something. I know we were talking earlier trying to be like, okay, like what if Gibsie didn't write that? Like what if he's giving Hugh the letter that Kiva wrote? You know, like we were discussing, could that be a possibility? But it's like, why would he say like I wrote something for her? Yeah. And so that's also weird because like we try to look.
He hasn't read this, so like, does she need to read it? And he's kind of like, read my letter. Like this is the letter I've been talking about. Like
yeah, we're trying to come up with every possibility because we don't want to just be like, okay, our theory is the only one that like works. Like that's not true. Like we're trying to come up with every option. And there's so many unanswered questions. But what we got from the snippet of Gibsie saying to Hugh that he wrote Lizzie a letter is that Gibsie can write. We know this now. We know it sounds funky because he says, I'm not sure if she's going to be able to understand it. But what does that mean? What is the context of that? Is that related to dyslexia? Is that related to what's actually written? Like the context of the words. So it's like, there's a lot of unanswered stuff. And I think if you just take this at face value, you're like, oh, like Gibsie wrote Liz a letter. Like he wants to apologize. And then you're like, at least I'm like, okay, but apologize for what? The funeral?
Why would you apologize? Like,
why would he apologize for anything else? That doesn't make sense. If the whole fandom's like at this consensus that Lizzie's the one that needs to be apologizing to Gibsie, then why is now the fandom when the snippet comes out like, oh, Gibsie's apologizing to Liz? Like, it doesn't make sense. I feel like we're backtracking. You know what I mean? Like, we keep going back and forth, like, with our thoughts. And, like, this is why we deep dive, because there's so many unanswered questions. And this is why we have 3 letter videos, because there's so much more that we keep adding.
There'll probably be a 4th one.
I'm sure there will be, because, like, we're literally filming this a different day than we filmed the original stuff. Like, we find things daily that we're like, this adds another layer. Like, I didn't even know the bolded stuff because I only have the US versions. I only can get the US version on Kindle. I can only get the US version from my bookstore. So like, I never even knew certain things were bolded. And when Crystal pointed this out to me, I'm like, why is it like that? That doesn't make sense.
I just feel like, yeah, so this whole situation with the bolding, it's not a coincidence. Everything Chloe does is not a coincidence. Like there is something here. And I feel like we're so close to it. Like there's something else. Like, I'm honestly just excited to see how it pans out. But it's just not really making sense.
It's not making sense.
So I guess, yeah, we just wanted to add this little bit in and see what your thoughts are. If you've noticed the bold words, and I think we've said this before, like if you're only listening to the audiobooks, and I know this because I have a few friends that, you know, have only listened to the audiobooks and they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it's bolded, it's italicized. They don't understand it because you can only hear the words being spoken, right? So if you're not actually looking at the book or the text, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff when it comes to context clues and obviously what is important, what Chloe wants to be highlighted, like that inner monologue stuff. So I think, like, you know, if it's like, I think beneficial to have a paperback copy or a Kindle copy if you are looking at deep diving or trying to understand things a bit more as well. So I think that's like a great reflection on everything. Because you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't have access to it or you don't have resources to it, then it's really hard to make a judgment when you haven't seen it as well. But yeah, we just want to pop this in here. So we've got, I guess, some more things to think about. So that's basically like our thoughts currently. Like I said, these things change. We're getting Spotify playlists right now, so this may change in like 5 minutes. But obviously, like I think at the end of the day, our theories are here to, I guess, just put out there, get your ideas, get your thoughts. If there's anything else you want us to have a look at, we would be more than happy to do that. But again, our intention is to deep dive the complexities of these characters. Okay, we love all these characters. Like, we have no beef with any of these characters. We have full faith and trust in Chloe. I think at the end of the day, she's still going to surprise us regardless. I don't think any of us are going to be right at the end of the day, but it's always just fun to play around and see what else we think about. But our handles are there if you want to follow us on TikTok. We are always spiraling. We are about to spiral now. But thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.